Hey gamers, this is Liz Davidson from Beyond Solitaire, and I'm finally back recording games again. It feels good. This is a prototype of Shred of Redemption. It is coming out from Solo Game of the Month, and it's designed by an old friend of mine, Artem Safarov, so I wanted to cover it. And this one is just a little quick puzzler. I've just got the prototype, so I'm not good enough at the game to actually play well, but I'm definitely good enough to show you how it works. So the premise of Shred of Redemption is that we are a medieval noble, or more like we are an entity who's trying to help a medieval noble who has lived a terrible life, and towards the end they're starting to realize, wow, maybe I messed up and I need to try to do some damage control. And we're going to attempt to do the damage control that will allow them to die peacefully and with at least fewer regrets, because you probably should regret something if you've been this bad. But basically what's going to happen is we're going to roll some dice to represent vices that our nobleman was guilty of during his life. We are going to draw redemption cards, and we're going to use tokens to basically help us match virtues that offset the vices. And there's a bit of a puzzle manipulation game involved in this as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and play it out and set it up, and you can kind of see how it works within minutes. So the first thing we're going to do is, one at a time, we're going to pull dice from this bag, and we're going to pull redemption cards. By the way, at the end, after we think we've got ourselves redeemed, there will be a reckoning. So basically, this is like the wrench deck thrown in at the end. So we'll put it aside for now. So what we're going to do is we are going to pull a die out of here. Okay, so this is a die that is generally about wealth. We don't know exactly which face is going to get rolled, and some of them could be other vices. But the primary face on here is a wealth face. So we know that that could be coming up. So knowing that, we're going to set this die here. And we're going to draw 2 of these redemption cards, and we can think about which one might better suit our needs. So I'm going to pull 2 cards. And basically what these are going to give me is a combination of icons. So these icons represent learning and restraint. These icons represent kindness and charity. We're very interested in charity, given that we are very likely to need to match it up with wealth. So this may be the better choice. So with this support the poor, we'll get these tokens in our bag of virtues to pull and try to match up with the vice dice. And this will let us remove 2 adjacent regret tokens to turn 1 die to any side, which means that we can kind of use our regrets in a way that maybe isn't that bad. And then inspecting the archive is interesting because it lets you also remove regret tokens from the row, and you're going to see why this is important once we get through this sort of setup phase. But I'm going to take support the poor. So that's 1 card, 1 die. Next, we're going to pull 1 more die. We're going to pull up to 5 of these. Okay, so this die has to do with intrigue. We weren't very nice. We were a little backstabby in life. And so now we need to deal with that. So this is an intrigue die. And it is offset by learning. So we'll see, too bad we tossed a card that had 2 learning tokens on it, but how would we have known? So we're going to pull 2 redemption cards. Let's see what we get. All right, so neither of these looks that helpful in terms of tokens. So we have restraint and humility, humility and diligence. What we'd be looking for is charity and learning, but that's okay. We're going to look at these cards and we're going to look at the powers and kind of think about that instead. The other thing is that every token matters because they give you abilities during the next phase of the game as well, but we will get there when we get there rather than try to teach everything up front. All right, so the powers in these are both good, as you'll see. This one is turn up to 3 virtue tokens to ready, which means we can get more out of our virtue tokens when we're using them. Or we have a simple life, we can turn 3 tokens to used to add a token of choice to the end of the row. Oh, I think we're going to take quiet reflection. That way I can use a bunch of powers really aggressively, which seems cool. All right, die number 3, let's see. All right, this die is a sloth die, which can be offset by diligence. We only have one of those coming in. We don't have any of those actually coming into our pool so far. Oops. But maybe we'll get lucky. Let's pull 2 cards. Here we go. Okay, so these are actually both of interest to me because we've got the need for charity. We also have the need for diligence. So this is kind of an interesting choice for me. This one lets me re-roll a vice die, which is pretty good. This one lets me discard 3 different tokens to add a fresh virtue of my choice to a position of one of the discarded tokens. Oh, man. I think I'm going to take this one for a little more direct manipulation. Hopefully we'll get some more charity on a future card. 4th die out of 5. Let's see what we're going to pull. Oh, we got just a whole variety of sins we've been committing in here. So this one is wrath. It's offset by kindness. Yikes. Okay. I think what we might do is grab... Let's take academic pursuits and get all that learning in there. Oh, baby. And then we also have pride, which is offset by humility. So, yeah, we've just really... 5 out of the 7 so far. We're really going for it on the sinning front. Let's see what we pull here. Oh, okay. We get 1 with the people. So we get some of these nice little humility tokens in here and maybe change humility for something else at another point. Okay. So now we've got 5 cards. We've got 5 dice. And we're ready to move on to the next phase of this game. So this is our hand that we're going to be working with. These dice are all going to be dumped out of the bag. And we're going to do a little die rolling and a little bag building. So the first thing we're going to do is, in order, we are going to roll each of these dice and see which sins are actually going to be represented on them. So in order to give you a little randomness, these don't just come set to a certain face. We got to roll them. So let's find out what this one will do. Okay, so we actually have a little bit of intrigue on this die instead. So it looked like it might have been greed, but no, we were just greedy for intrigue, apparently. Okay, whereas this die came out as a pride die. It's got a little pride on the map here. Okay, well this one showed up as... debauchery, so that's fun. You know what? I don't even know why debauchery is a sin. I'm just saying. We didn't put a lot of blue in this bag on purpose, but there is a little bit in there, so that should be good. Okay. Still wrathful. That makes sense. And then 1 more die. Ooh, more wrath. Oh, dear. Okay. So here is our setup of the actual vices we need to overcome on our attempt to get redeemed and to get our nobleman to a point where he can die in peace. All right, so now it's time to actually deal with these lovely vices. So we're going to pull 5 tokens from the bag. If we pull regret, we'll pull until we have 5 virtues. So we've got 5 vices to deal with. There are going to be some virtues and regrets in the bag. We're going to pull them to see if we can match them up using all these little card powers. All right, first one, diligence. Not quite what we needed, but we can probably work with it. Okay, restraint. Humility. Not bad. Charity. Okay, we can deal with this. We can deal with this. Okay, another diligence. And we have these 5 cards. Okay, so essentially what we're going to want to happen here is we need to get the virtues in a row that offset these vices. So I have diligence, restraint, humility, charity, and diligence. What I need is learning, humility, restraint, kindness, kindness. So some of the stuff I need isn't even out, and it's also not all in the right order. So I'm going to have to figure out how to make this work. So this is going to be I guess, an interesting little experiment. So these cards, this one will let me change a pride die to something else if I discard a use token. This one is going to let me change a humility token to a kindness token. This one is going to let me turn up to 3 virtue tokens to ready. So basically these have powers, and when we use them, we can manipulate the row. This one lets me discard 3 different tokens to add a fresh virtue of my choice in the position of one of the discarded tokens. This could come in quite handy. And then this will let me remove 2 adjacent regret tokens to turn 1 die to any side. Okay. So I've also got these powers over here. So diligence is going to let me, if I just use it, I can reroll a vice die. If I ditch it, I can turn a vice die to an opposite side. So maybe that's handy. I don't know. I don't think so. Nothing great here for that. Nothing that's going to get me what I want right now. If I use restraint, I can swap 2 dice that are the same color or showing the same vice. So basically, you know, these colors are coming into play. I can exchange any 2 dice and then reroll them, showing a vice matching the virtue on its spot. Okay, that's not necessarily bad. A little swapping and exchanging is not bad. Okay, humility will let me work with regret, which hasn't come out of the bag yet, but it will. Charity will let me draw extra tokens at the end of the row, which is excellent. And then diligence, again, we've gone over that one. So I think what I'm going to do, we just need more tokens badly. So I'm going to go ahead, since I agreed to deal with that here, I'm going to take the charity. I'm just going to discard it. And it'll let me draw 3 tokens to the end of the row. Everything just kind of fills in. So FYI. So let's see what I pull. A humility, a kindness, and another kindness. Well, I need those, but not where they are. Okay, we got somewhere with that, I think. The other thing is that each of these cards I can use for the power, or I can discard the card to draw 2 more tokens. So that may be something I need to do. The problem is there are only so many kindness tokens. Ooh, I gotta be careful. I know what to do. I'm going to discard this kindness token altogether. It's a huge risk. Discard to swap any 2 tokens. So I'm going to dump this to swap these 2. Hey. Then I'm going to spend this card, one with the people, to change this humility to a kindness, but I might want to use it first. I'm going to hang on. So basically I can get this in line so I have another kindness token. And I've kind of got that in mind. Okay. I'm going to use this kindness token to swap pride and debauchery. So that's not bad. The problem is I don't know how I get an intrigue token up here. I might need to get another kindness token out, and then I need to find an intrigue and then swap any 2 tokens. Or, okay, what I could do is I can try to get enough regret tokens out to turn 1 die to any side and just swap this so that these 2 match. That may actually be a good strategy. So let me think about how to get some tokens out. Okay. I'm going to discard this one and draw 2 tokens. Okay, we got a regret and a kindness. This could be much worse, especially because the kindness let me swap some tokens around. But I don't have any learning to swap yet. I also have to get rid of the regret. But let's keep going. I'm just going to kind of stack the row down here so you can see it. We are going to ditch this card because it's not going to be what I need. To draw 2 more tokens. So we got 1 regret. We got 1 restraint. Okay, so here's what we're going to do now. I'm going to turn this face down to swap any 2 adjacent tokens. Remember, this is a row. These would be adjacent. I'm going to spin this card to support the poor, remove 2 adjacent regret tokens to turn any die to one side. Ho ho ho. So this got used, and I still have, I'm going to use this card to turn a humility to a kindness. Okay. So basically, what I have done is I have, in fact, completed the first part of the game because we turned, this isn't intrigue anymore. This is now sloth, snail, snail, crown, crown, cup, cup, and the 2 axes for wrath, and there's no regret on the row. So that means that we're like kind of close to survival here, but the problem is, and this is where I always get messed up, we have to draw a reckoning card. So we are just on the cusp of dying in peace, but now we have to reckon with ourselves. So, Tainted Legacy. Add regret tokens at the beginning and end of the row and turn all tokens in the formation to used. Ew. So we have to put a regret token at the beginning of the row, which is going to move everything down. And then one at the end. We got to get rid of all the regret, which is very stressful because I don't actually know how we're going to do it. I don't know if I can, but I'm trying here. So here's what we're going to do first, though. I can turn up to 3 virtue tokens to ready. So these all got turned face down. But I can turn up to 3 virtue tokens to ready. So I'm definitely going to want to do that because humility will let me remove a regret. What are some other ones that I can do that might help? Restraint doesn't really matter. Diligence doesn't really matter. So it's just kindness that I'm down to. And the problem here is that this was great, but I'm able to use the humility to remove this regret and move everything back into position the way that I want. But I just don't have the juice to get rid of this last regret token, I don't think. Which is such a bummer. So basically, I almost made it, but my last regret is going to make it so that our nobleman dies sadly and in shame and fear. Well, I guess that's what you get. So this is my attempt to play Shred of Redemption. I almost won, but did not. And this is on GameFound. I included a link in the show notes. So thank you to Solo Game of the Month for sending me this. Thanks to Artem for designing it. This is a fun one. So hopefully this gave you a sense of whether it's something that you would enjoy. Thank you so much for watching. And please like, subscribe. Most of all, happy gaming.